You're looking at the Dell 7567 and the Acer Aspire VX15, which are some of the best performing laptops for under $1,000. The 7567 that I have here is $900, an i5 quad-core 1050 Ti, 8 gigs of RAM, and the VX15 has the i7 quad-core. These are all the newest Kaby Lake, 1050 Ti, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And this one will cost you $1,000 for this config. So let's see if there's any difference. Looking into some synthetic benchmarks now, which will give us a more consistent multi-platform basis. Cinebench, which is a CPU test, unsurprisingly had the VX15 at a score of 730 and the 7567 at a still respectable 515.
What was the generation after that? Broadwell, yeah.
That's the same.
There's so many wells. Maxwell, Broadwell, Haswell.
And 3D Mark, which focuses on graphical power, they should be very similar because they both have that 1050 Ti, and that's exactly what we see with the VX15 getting a score of 6,595 and the 7567 getting 6,468. Now when it comes to battery life, I ran a benchmark that tests the computers under average everyday workloads, so web browsing, word processing, video watching, that kind of stuff. And the VX15 scored 3 hours and 16 minutes, and the 7567 fared a lot better with a rating of 5 hours and 31 minutes. Next I ran Unigine Valley, which is a stress test that pushes the system to its limits and sees what it can do. Here the VX15 scored 3,137 with an average FPS of 75, and the Dell 7567 scored 2,941 with an average frame rate of 70.3. Now during the stress test, I checked both laptops' temperature and fan noise. So under load, this is what I found. The VX15 hovers around 38 decibels, and the loudest that I've ever measured it at is 41 decibels, and the hottest spot was 42 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, the 7567 was around 44 decibels under load and peaked at 50 decibels, and its hottest spot was 38 degrees Celsius. Interestingly enough, even though they're both rocking a 256GB M.2 SSD, they must be using like drastically different manufacturers, because the read speeds on the VX15 is 595 megabits a second and the 7567 is at 522, so pretty similar. But the read speeds, the VX15 scored well ahead with 1,566 megabytes a second, and the 7567 stayed at only 550. Now the last two categories are build quality and display quality. So aesthetics are completely up to you, personal taste, but when it comes to physical quality of the materials used, the 7567 easily wins this category. It's just built much better. The VX15 has a lot more hard, cheap plastics that not really fit together as well as the Dell, so it definitely wins that category. And finally, the display. So they're both a 1080p screen, but the VX15 hands down has the better display. So it uses IPS technology, and it's clear and color accurate enough to do hobbyist color work, perfectly fine for gaming and that kind of stuff. But the 7567 uses a more old-fashioned TN panel, so the screen looks washed out if you're not looking at it head on, and it's okay for gaming, but it's just annoying, and I'd much rather have IPS. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah,